The Kaelthar Dominion had never lost. Not once. Not in 300 years of conquest across the outer spiral arm. Their fleets moved like a plague of silver locusts, sweeping from system to system, and every world they touched eventually bent the knee. Some resisted for days, a few for weeks. None had ever resisted for longer than a month. It was simple mathematics to them. Superior numbers, superior technology, inferior wills on the other side. Conquest was not warfare, it was accounting. So when the Dominion's third fleet arrived at the edge of a quiet, unremarkable system called Sol, they expected nothing more than another entry in the ledger. What they found instead was a single ship. Grand Admiral Threxel Voss stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Devourer of Stars, staring at the sensor display with something between amusement and mild irritation. One ship, a single vessel, barely the size of a Dominion escort cruiser, sat motionless between his 300 warships and the blue-green world behind it. "Identify it," Threxel ordered. His tactical officer, a young Kaelthar named Serrix, tilted his crested head. "Human designation, ISS Meridian. Crew complement, 212. Weapons signature, minimal. Shields, standard. Admiral, this is not a warship. This is a patrol vessel." Threxel almost laughed. "And it thinks it can stop us? Sir, we're receiving a transmission. Play it." The voice that came through was calm, almost bored. "This is Captain Elena Voss of the ISS Meridian, representing the United Earth Defense Fleet. You are entering sovereign human space. Turn back now, or we will be forced to respond." A murmur went through the bridge. Not fear, but disbelief, the kind that borders on laughter. 300 warships, each one capable of glassing a continent, and this single vessel spoke to them as if it held the advantage. "Curious name," Threxel mused. "Voss, the same as mine translated. Perhaps the universe has a sense of humor." He opened a channel. "Captain Voss, I am Grand Admiral Threxel Voss of the Kaelthar Dominion. You stand alone against an armada that has never known defeat. I offer you the mercy we extend to the wise. Surrender, and your species will serve, not suffer." There was a pause. Then that same calm voice. "Funny, we were about to offer you the same deal." The bridge erupted into contemptuous laughter. Even Threxel allowed himself a smile. Arrogance, he thought, a trait common to young species who had not yet learned their place in the galaxy. "Open fire," he said. "Disable her weapons. I want her captain alive. I'm curious what a species sounds like when it finally understands fear." The Dominion fleet advanced. What happened next would be studied by Kaelthar tacticians for the next 50 years, and never fully explained. The Meridian moved. Not fled, moved with a precision that made no sense for a ship her size. She slid between the first wave of incoming fire like water finding the path of least resistance. Her hull grazed by energy but never breached. Threxel watched, waiting for the inevitable, for panic, for a desperate retreat toward the planet. Instead, she turned into the fleet. "She's insane," Serrix breathed. "She's flying directly at the Ravager squadron." "Let her," Threxel said. "One ship cannot." The Meridian fired. It was not the barrage he expected. It was surgical. 3 shots, precisely placed, and the lead ship of the Ravager squadron lost its main reactor containment. The resulting explosion tore through 2 more vessels before Threxel's crew could react. "Report," Threxel snapped, his amusement gone. 3 ships disabled, 1 destroyed, Serrix said, voice tight. "Admiral." She knew exactly where to hit us. "Our reactor placement isn't public knowledge." "Then how?" On the Meridian's bridge, Elena Voss watched the chaos unfold with the same steady calm she'd had since the conversation began. Her weapons officer, a young man named Torres, looked up at her. "Captain, we can't win this. 200 against 300 ships." "We're not trying to win a war, Lieutenant," Elena said. "We're trying to buy time." "Time for what?" She didn't answer. She didn't need to. On the display behind her, hidden in the gravitational shadow of Sol's outermost gas giant, The true Earth fleet was already moving, 300 vessels that had spent the last 6 hours in silent running, waiting for exactly this moment. The Meridian was never meant to win alone. She was meant to be seen, to be underestimated, to buy the seconds humanity needed to bring its real strength to bear. "Captain," Torres said quietly, "they're bringing everything at us now." "I know." Elena's hands were steady on the console. "Hold the line. Just a little longer." The Dominion fleet surged forward, furious now, humiliated by a single ship's audacity. Threxel ordered a full barrage, determined to erase the insult in fire. That was when Earth's true fleet decloaked behind them. 300 vessels, engines flaring to life in perfect, silent unison. Weapons already locked on targets the Kaelthar had never seen coming. The Dominion armada, so confident in its superiority, found itself caught between a wall it had underestimated and a wall it never knew existed. Threxel stared at the tactical display, and for the first time in 300 years of Dominion conquest, he felt something unfamiliar settle into his chest. Doubt. "They knew," he whispered. "They knew we were coming. They planned for this. That ship, that single ship, was never meant to defeat us. It was meant to delay us." "Orders, Admiral?" Cerrix asked, voice trembling. Threxel watched Captain Voss's ship, still floating defiantly at the heart of his shattered formation, its hull scarred but unbroken. He thought of every world his people had conquered, worlds that broke at the first sign of overwhelming force, worlds that measured their courage in mathematics. This species measured courage differently. "Signal the retreat," Threxel said quietly. "Sir." "You heard me. No world has ever made me retreat. But no world has ever shown me a captain willing to stand alone against 300 ships, knowing she might die, simply to buy her people time." He turned from the viewport. "That is not weakness, Cerrix. That is something far more dangerous than any weapon we possess." As the shattered Dominion fleet withdrew into the dark, Elena Voss finally allowed herself to breathe. Torres looked at her, eyes wide with something between relief and reverence. "Captain, how did you know they'd fall for it?" Elena watched the enemy ship's retreat, her reflection faint in the viewport glass. "I didn't," she admitted. "I just knew someone had to stand here first." Light years away, in a Dominion command chamber, Threxel Voss would spend the rest of his life trying to explain what he witnessed that day. Not a superior weapon, not a hidden technology, but a single human willing to place herself between her home and annihilation, trusting that her people would not let her sacrifice be in vain. And for the first time, the galaxy understood what it truly meant to be human. If the story moved you, subscribe for more human stories from the stars.